We're going to skip item A under number 7, the minutes, because they are not available. Deliberate and act on consideration of ordinance 992, an ordinance establishing rates for water and sewer use for the municipal system of the city of Raton, amending article number, ordinance number 972, ordinance number 948, ordinance number 894, and ordinance 684, and repealing all ordinance and regulation in conflict therewith. Mr. Campbell or Mr. Phillips?
Mayor and Commission, as you're aware, this has already been introduced, and this evening it is up for consideration. Mr. Campbell from Raton Waterworks is here to speak on behalf of this rate increase.
Smile, Dan, come on.
At this point, I would most just take any questions as I address this board. We're aware of, with the 1 cent in place, how much we are behind state average. This is actually to turn around and try to continue an efficient department in the face of all the regulations. And at that point, I would answer any questions.
Anyone have any questions for Mr. Campbell?
We have not had any calls or any questions after its introduction at the water department.
That's great.
No complaints, huh? No.
I would make a motion to approve ordinance number 992, establishing rates for water and sewer use from the municipal system of the city of Raton. It amends ordinance number 972, ordinance 948, 894, and 684, and repealing all ordinances and regulations in conflict therewith.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt ordinance number 992, establishing rates for water and sewer use for the municipal system of the city of Raton. We have a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Sagata?
Yes.
Commissioner Chavez?
Yes.
Commissioner Schuster?
Yes.
Commissioner Giacomo?
Yes.
Mayor Evans?
Yes, motion passes. Deliberate and act on resolution 2016-32 USDA grant application.
What you've got in your packets is there's a preliminary engineering report. What this resolution's doing is just approval of this commission, the elected officials, to proceed with an application process with the federal government, with USDA utilities funding. Same thing we actually did in 2005, 2006 for the wastewater treatment facility. The opportunity for this is we've got a pretty good sized project to try to do some improvements to a 1946 filter plant that's gone through remodel several times. The same structure engineering analytics has put together a document here, a preliminary engineering report. There's also an environmental report that addresses all the issues. We've done a very good job putting that together, and we're completing this application. The goal of this is, out of that funding, with what our economic situation is here in Raton and our population, is talking to them. We're looking at, same as we did on the wastewater treatment facility, the potential of 45% grant and 55% loan, to where that's what we will actually go forward with, is the opportunity. This is just the first step. As we get an application, it would have to come back before this body, just like if we went further, the same as last time, we would have a bonding attorney and have to come back as another ordinance. This is just a resolution that the elected officials have knowledge that we are turning this application in.
This is for what, $2,582,000?
Yes.
For how many years, Dan?
This, all RUS funding is 40 years, but you can actually, after 5 years, can pay it off in advance and do it. But it actually is, all of their federal money is on a 40-year time clock.
At what percentage of interest?
Currently at 2.5.
2.5.
Actually, is it better than the sewer plant? That was 4.5. So things have dropped some since then, but it is at 2.5 currently.
And you said 45% grant, 55 loan?
That's the goal. We're turning in as a loan application here. That's our number. Then based on federal funding, when they go forward, the same thing we did with the the sewer plant, we will see what funds we get available and what offer they come back to us with, and we'll come back to this body. This will just be the application
This is
process.
just approving.
Exactly. Anything else to approve as we go forward will come back before this commission and the water board.
Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Campbell?
Make a motion to approve resolution 2016-32 USDA grant application.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2016-32 USDA grant application. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Deliberate and act on bid award for Tiger Drive repaving project. And this was given to us. Everybody should have a copy of this. Mr. Phillips or
Madam
Karen?
Commission, what you have before you is a recommendation award from Ms. Karen Stearns of Engineering Analytics. Those bids were opened just hours ago for this project. And what Mr. Berry has advised me is we currently have environmental assessment for both these project control numbers. One of those is our 2016 co-op. The other is a capital outlay in the amount of $150,000. Our intent this evening would be to award the project and to use gas tax in addition to our capital outlay funds to complete the project. I would let Ms. Stearns speak to the project. Karen Stearns and Tyler Davis are both here tonight from Engineering Analytics, and she can explain to you that a couple of the bid items here are more of a placeholder in the event that we encountered some unforeseen conditions, so this dollar amount may not reflect the actual dollars spent.
Okay.
That, Ms. Stearns?
Thank you, Jason. Mayor, Commissioners, I just wanted to take a quick moment, if you don't mind, to introduce Tyler Davis. So Tyler started working for our office about a month ago. He just graduated from CSU and moved here to Raton. So
Nice.
thought I'd introduce him real quick.
Welcome.
With that said, the invitation for bid was advertised on June 18th. And we had the bid opening, like Jason had said, today at 1:30. We received one bid, and it was determined to be responsive, and that was from Bill Serrazio, in the amount of $183,881.50, which excludes New Mexico gross receipts tax. We do have a couple of items specifically for sealing the cracks and asphalt patching. So last year, when we had done the project for Tiger Drive, we had seen that there were a number of cracks that we didn't see at the surface of the project. They weren't detrimental to the project in any way, but we thought at this point in time we should really add this as a bid item, just in case, since this section of Tiger Drive is in worse condition than last year. So we do have those as placeholders. We don't anticipate using them. So we have, one of the items is asphalt patching, and we're currently have an item for that for $14,200. And so if, like for example, there's a little bit of rutting that's on Tiger Drive, so when we do the milling, we'll actually go out there and take a look at the surface that's been milled, just to see if there's any soft spots that need to be replaced altogether. And we would use that item for that. We also have an item for water valve box cover adjustment. We don't anticipate needing that, but in case we see any water valves that are paved over and don't see them, we'll use that item. And then we have the hot poured crack sealant, which is for $13,750. Once again, this is just a placeholder in case we see any large cracks beneath the surface that aren't there currently. So with that said, I did want to mention that the engineer's estimate was $186,131. And so with that, and given the fact that the funding is available, we recommend awarding it to Bill Serrazio.
Mr. Phillips, do you happen to know how much the co-op grant was for?
Co-op grant is somewhere in the neighborhood of 60 to 65.
$60,000.
And I think the intention is to take that monies elsewhere. This project, in itself, it begins where we left off at the railroad tracks, commences east to South 2nd Street. It does include striping of the section that was done as quote-unquote a phase 1.5 there where we jumped into the railroad right away. I would point out, you know, some of these items are things that are gonna last a long time that cost a little more money, but the railroad markings in particular are important markings, and they're thermoplastic, and there's a little expense in it versus painting. But what we've seen is paint doesn't hold up well for that type of marking. And I think that by the time it's said and done, I would anticipate only a fraction of that 14,200 or that 13,750 to be spent on the project. And the co-op, what we're seeing right now is we would have money in excess if we brought the co-op, and you would have to do a whole separate environmental clearance to move that money somewhere else. So it's kind of cleaner just to go gas tax at this point.
Just get gas
Yeah,
tax.
just gas tax plus that
Plus the capital
legislative
outlay.
capital outlay.
I believe the co-op, isn't it targeted for like Savage Street?
Yes,
And
it's,
Second,
at this
First,
point, I
and
believe it's
Park
Savage,
and Cook.
Apache, Park, and Cook is the target for that.
Those, yeah, the avenues between First and Second.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
As kind of a contingency, we had asked Karen and Tyler to complete the environmental process in the event these bids were substantially higher and we needed that money without a result there. Fortunately, it appears to me, and Karen, correct me if I'm wrong, compared to phase 1 of Tiger Drive that was completed last year, we have seen a decrease actually in asphalt prices as a result of the decrease in oil costs. So
That's correct.
it's actually more bang for your buck than we got last time.
Okay, good. Are there any other questions for either Karen or Jason?
No.
Pardon?
What was total bid figure?
The total figure of the project?
No, the bid.
183.
183, oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
183, 881, and 50 cents.
Excluding gross receipts.
Madam Mayor, I'd make a motion that we accept, or, yeah, we award the, yeah, whatever I'm trying to say, the contract, or
The bid.
the bid
Award, yeah.
to Mr. Serrazio for the Tiger Drive Mill and Overlay Phase 2 project.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to award the bid for Tiger Drive repaving project to William Serrazio. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
And the schedule on that should allow it to be completed before school begins on, I believe, August 16th is the
Cool.
target date to be done.
Okay, great. Deliberate and act on award of contract for direct youth services. Jason, do you want to take that, or who's going to take it?
Madam Mayor, actually, I'm going to defer on this to Ms. Antonucci as well as Danielle Archuleta is here to speak on behalf of this as well.
Mayor and Commission, in your packet is a memo that we prepared, and as you can see, we did go out for proposals for a subcontractor to provide what we call the direct youth services. And this is for the JJAC grant that we receive from CYFD every year. And so the subcontractor provides the services for our Girls Circle program, Boys Council program, and the Restorative Justice. As you will see, we did only receive one responsive proposer, and that's Valle del Sol, who is also our current subcontractor for this fiscal year. And based on their current performance for this fiscal year, I think they've done a good job for us, and I think Danielle can probably elaborate on that because she does work very closely with each of the facilitators for the programs and Valle del Sol themselves. So is there anything you want to add as far as how the programs are this year?
I would like to add that we met goals that were actually in a strategic plan back in 2012 by our board. And without the facilitation of the facilitators and the subcontractor having the program knowledge and awareness and moving forward with that in their facilitation and professionalism and their expertise in behavior management, we wouldn't be where we're at today. So I'm very excited. We met all goals in FY16. And we did a really great job of that, working as a team. And they're very willing to work with Mike Wan or with myself or with CYFD. And they have a lady that She specializes in the financials up in Arizona, and her name is Donna Pratt, and she's done an excellent job with our invoicing for the subcontractor.
Well, I'll move that we award,
Your turn.
contract for direct youth services to, is it Valle or Valley? Valle, yeah. Valle del Sol of New Mexico.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to award the contract for direct youth service to Via del Sol. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. I do have one request.
Okay.
I believe when we read the contract we have with CYFT to make us the contractor, it says no subcontracting in it.
Well, I just wanted to elaborate on that. Our next step, now that you've approved this RFP contract award, is tomorrow I will actually submit to them a letter approving our selection of this subcontractor, and then they send us back an approval letter, because that is a condition.
It's a
and
condition,
we-
yeah.
Yes, and we do that every year. But
Why don't they just take that out of the contract? That there's no subcontracting?
Well,
there is with CYFT approval, so you have to request their approval in order to subcontract. So it's a formality. So what I'll do tomorrow, the letter that I send to them has to list VIA's federal tax ID number, their DUNS
Mhm.
number. There's a whole list of things that I have to include, but I'm gonna spell that out for them, that we did follow the process. We solicited proposals. They were the only proposer, and so we are requesting your formal approval to subcontract. And then they will send me back the letter from their agency. It's kind of a standard form letter. And then that way, all of our documents, everything for the grant itself are in order. And this is a federal grant, so come audit time, we want to make sure that we checked everything off and kind of dotted our i's and crossed our t's. So
And I think you told me last time there's 53,000 or something like that, that's an obligation of the city, is all done in kind.
yes, there is a 40% match required in the grant. Our subcontractor will be receiving $82,350.
and I'd like to add to that, Mayor Mance. In past years, the monies have been much lower than where they're at right now in the past 5 years. And with expanding out services to Colfax and Union County, we got that increase to be able to require an RFP this year. And by law and regulations, we're following the process. But as far as the in-kind, just to give you peace of mind, we have met 51,000 so far this year.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
Thank you.
I beg your pardon, Mayor Mance, but I don't believe that that's an unusual behavior for CYFD to say no subcontracting with the exception of, our secondary approval. So I think that's kind of a usual process that they go
The
through.
reason I question it is because it's not usual like for the state auditor. It says
Right.
in there, you cannot subcontract,
Right.
and you cannot subcontract. So it's just a matter of the language.
Well, and I
Yeah,
think they realize that most of the fiscal agents out there probably are cities and counties. And we certainly don't have the resources to provide these services in-house. We
I
don't
know.
have the
I just would
staff.
feel much better if they just took that out of there, no subcontracting.
Well, I think they still want to maintain a little bit of control over monitoring who's doing what, and, especially because you are providing services to youth.
Yes, that was a
So-
huge concern of having a continuum coordinator separate from the facilitation of the programs. In past years, they were intermixing it all, and the continuum coordinator was doing more facilitation and then billing from 2 line items to where now I just get a paycheck. And it simplifies it.
very nice.
Yes.
Well, thank you for your work. You do
Thank
good
you.
work.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Deliberate and act on resolution 2016-33, a resolution concerning dangerous buildings and requiring removal, 421 and 421 and a half North 4th Street. Chief?
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Commissioners. 2 weeks ago, I introduced you to 10 property locations that was high on our radar, and we pretty much narrowed it down to this one property. Want to go ahead and give you a final presentation on that property. These are some pictures that were just taken today, so you're aware of exactly what we're proposing to demolish. Dilapidated structures, buildings. This is an aerial view from Google Earth, so you kind of have an idea of the layout of it. So it's two houses, one house garage that was converted and added on to it, and then a shed out in the back. This makes it look very good. These pictures, other pictures will. This was the photograph on May 24th, on the last presentation. This is the location today, this morning. Actually, it's looking better with the shrubs in the way. Okay, if you look at picture number 1, this is walking down the public sidewalk towards the entrance of the house. Number 2, that's a little gate there, which you have to step over to get onto the property. 3, once you stepped into the property, if you look to the left, you see debris, weeds. To the right, a lot more weeds. These weeds are anywhere from 2 to 4 feet, I'd say. As you walk in toward the first house, which used to be the garage, you can see things have been pulled away. Picture 2 is looking in that front door, as is 3. Picture 4 is going through and looking into the room behind it. Going around to the back, this is the back half of the front building. That's picture 1 looking into that room. Picture 2 is approaching the second building, the one that was on the right of the aerial. 3 is just more weeds. 4 is actually stepping into the second building. Debris on the ground and everything. Picture 1 is one of the bedrooms. 2, holes in the ceiling. 3 is the bathroom. 4 is another bedroom. 1 is the kitchen. 2 is just a shot of the ceiling, opened up to the sky. 3 is, I'm guessing, a laundry room. Once you step out the back door, everything is overgrown as the front was. This is turning around, looking back at the house. The back left corner has been torn or has fallen apart. Number 2 is the back half of that shed. It's part stone, part wood. 3 is the lawn in front of the shed, as is 4. Just some shots of the roof. Wouldn't want to climb on it. 2 is just some more of the siding. 3 is actual siding of the building having been torn off. And then, just seemed kind of appropriate, number 4 is a welcome mat at the property. Okay, so that's the buildings we are talking about. So what's our remaining process? First of all, with approval of the resolution to demolish this building, we will post on the property of our intents. We will let that be there at least 2 weeks. We will also post in the local or nearest newspaper that we can get a hold of. We will order asbestos inspection, and if found, we will have it removed. Then we will proceed with the demolition, most likely with city crews and personnel and equipment to keep the costs down. Then we will set a lien once we add up all of the city expenses and time, and we'll put a lien on the property, and then finally we'll petition the courts to transfer ownership of the property to the city of Raton so we can dispose of it or use it as we need. And I'm open for any questions.
One of these two homes had a door missing from it for months and looked like a bunch of transient activity. Is that the same problem?
I would not say months, I'd say years.
I had several calls from people in the neighborhood that said at night they were using, the transients were using it, and they had charcoal grills and stuff inside there and lights, and so.
Didn't see anything that looked like charcoal grills, but definitely these mattresses look like people have been laying on them and using them for quite a while now.
I make a motion, we approve resolution number 2016-33. Deliberate and act on the resolution for concerning dangerous buildings and requiring removal 421 and 421 and a half North 4th Street, Faith Blackmore owner.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2016-33, dangerous building and required removal, 421 and 421 and a half North 4th. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll keep you advised as progress progresses.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief.
Deliberate and act on Resolution 2016-34, May 6, 2016 financial report.
Mayor and Commission, in your packet this evening is the financial report as of May 31st. You will see that we did receive the June gross receipts tax check, which was somewhat disappointing because it is the last check that we received for the fiscal year, and it is leaving us with a deficit of a little over 4% of what we projected for this year's fiscal year. And that equates to a little over $111,000. On the bright side, our departments have done a good job monitoring their departmental budgets, and so we do have certain expenditures that will be delayed until the next fiscal year. So we were trying to minimize our expenditures as we approach June 30 in a couple days. And hopefully, I'll be working on the end of year reports as soon as we get bank statements on Friday. And I will be preparing the final budget adjustment resolution for this fiscal year. That is required. I'm sorry, I've got allergies today. It will be required that we submit the final budget that reflects those ending cash balances. And so we'll be doing that at the July meeting. Let's see, all of our construction projects are progressing. So I do anticipate that some of the shortfall we've experienced in GRT, it's just a timing of getting those gross receipts from those construction projects. And also, like we've said in the past, with McDonald's reopening. So we are optimistic that the July check will actually reflect May business activity. So it should be a lot better check than we received in June. Also, I did make a note here that, gross receipts is down, lodgers tax revenues are up about 10%. And so we do have a few businesses in town that seem to be doing quite well, and I believe this will be a busy summer season. We also have the Boston Reunion coming up this year as well. So hopefully that trend will continue as far as lodgers tax. And we did have one reconciling error that was discovered, but that has since been fixed. It was a $45 expense for solid waste that got read on a general fund check in error, so we corrected that. as of May 31st, our available cash in the general fund is $716,702.20. I have several transfers that I need to process. As you'll recall, we had you approve some temporary transfers earlier in the year, so I'll be transferring all of those funds back to the general fund. Now, if we do still have some outstanding grants, some of those grant reimbursements don't come in until probably the middle of July. What'll happen there is I'll have to, in the final budget, probably re-budget those temporary transfers back into the general fund, but I'll make all of those adjustments based on what hasn't been received as of the end of the fiscal year. We are still closing out the senior center grant. We have some multimodal expenses that we won't receive back, the federal highways
In this fiscal year,
reimbursement either, so. So anyway, I'm working on all that between now and the end of the week. Do you have any specific questions on the May financial report that I can answer?
Are we anticipating in special revenues 209's police grant, that, are we anticipating receiving that $129,000 in this fiscal year?
You know, under the police grants, the only item that we had earlier in the year was $8,440 for some batteries, and we did receive the reimbursement on that in May. The remainder of that money is a E911 dispatch grant that we get every year, but DFA actually pays the vendors directly, so all I get at the end of the year is a report of all the vendors that they paid out directly. So you're talking Motorola, CenturyLink.
Yeah, so you'll get both the revenues and expense
And so then I
report.
post the revenue and expense to our books.
Okay,
to reflect-
that's why it's so much money.
Yeah, to reflect what was paid out. So
Okay.
it's basically an end-of-year adjustment that I make based on the report I get from them.
Same way with the library grant. That's
Yes.
$11,000. Are we anticipating getting that money?
Let's see which one you're looking at.
It's actually just a budget thing. $213.
Now we have the GEO bond monies. Theta actually has one more year left to spend those, so that grant does not expire as of June 30th.
Okay, all right.
So that would be the remainder of the GEO bond that she has left, and she still has one more year to spend that.
Okay, but we budgeted the entire amount.
We did.
Okay.
Yes.
And street improvements? We're under budget by 27,000.
I guess that'll depend on what our gas tax distribution for the month of June is.
Okay,
That's
All right.
the fund where we receive the gas tax monthly distribution.
right, so you'll move it from gas tax to this fund?
The monies automatically get deposited to the special revenue, so I'll post them to the gas tax line items. It's an electronic
Oh, okay,
transfer
all right.
that we receive from the state. And then also the same on our juvenile justice grant.
Right.
We have May's reimbursement outstanding, and then we'll have
June's. And we're still working with an ARRA OJP grant? Nothing happened with it.
That was for the SRO position at the schools, and that grant is not, we don't have a police officer in place for that grant, so we're filing an extension. And
Oh, okay,
hopefully
all right.
this coming school year, we'll have a police officer in place for that program.
Okay, all right. And then all of capital outlay, it looks like we're waiting on reimbursements or it didn't actually happen?
A lot of it, we are waiting on some monies for the senior center project. Multimodal senior center. You know, we have some airport grants that we haven't spent anything this year, so, but we budgeted the full amount of those grants.
Okay.
So that's why some of those are showing as not spent. So we have a few grants and projects that probably were included in the budget that we haven't started to expend yet.
Okay, all right.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2016-34, May financial report.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2016-34, May 2016 financial reports. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. City Manager's report, Mr. Phillips.
I told Mr. Berry I'd try to keep it in the box and not to get far out while he was gone. So what he kind of asked that I did on is events that have happened over the last week and kind of what's coming up. So of course, the rodeo was this past weekend. In addition to that, Little League All-Star Baseball and Softball tournaments were held in Raton, starting this past Saturday and going through this Thursday. We've had visitors throughout northeastern New Mexico. The games have been well attended. Area restaurants and motels very busy. Public Works crew spent last week grooming and preparing playing surfaces, sweeping and patching the area of the ball field complex, and spending a lot of time there myself over the last 3 days. Visitors were very impressed and complimentary of our fields and our facilities. Coming up this week, another busy weekend in Raton, 4th of July parade, fireworks, and the International Balloon Rally coming up this weekend. City crews are working on the First Street corridor and have already performed mowing operations to support the parade and balloon rally. City of Raton, in conjunction with Raton Main Street, has submitted a $300,000 grant application package to New Mexico Main Street in hopes of securing funding to begin the Great Blocks project on South First Street. City crews last week abated several illegal dump sites, including some on Maxwell Avenue and Sneed Street. Staff is working to set out no dumping signs in areas that have been chronically affected by illegal dumping. Citizens are again asked not to place trash or branches in alleys and should be aware that code enforcement is putting an emphasis on educating and curbing illegal dumping activity. And we remind residents the transfer station is open this summer, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 3:30, including through the lunch hour, and now on Saturdays from 10 until 2. Over 200 bear-proof dumpsters have been deployed so far. Deployments have occurred on the north side of town and in the area from Tiger Drive north towards Moore Avenue. There are 400 more containers that have been retrofitted and are ready to go out on the street. City crews will be deploying those over the next month. A prototype of a smaller 2-yard container has been developed and is being tested. It's anticipated that we'll have approximately 75 of these containers, and they'll be used on a very limited basis to accommodate residents who, for health or other reasons, are not able to open the larger containers. And on the final note, the pre-construction conference for the Raton landfill final cover construction project will be this Tuesday, July 5th, and construction will begin the following Monday. So we'll be wrapping that up shortly. And Madam Mayor, that's all I have.
Okay. Is there any other business to come before this body? Seeing none, meeting adjourned.